Hey everyone, welcome back. For those of you who are new here, my name is Brittany. I'm a health coach and nutritionist, and my channel is all about helping you to create delicious, low FODMAP meals to improve your digestive health. If you're into it, go ahead and subscribe for more low FODMAP recipe tutorials, as well as my tips and tricks for living a low FODMAP lifestyle. Okay, so today we are going to be making chicken tortilla soup, which is something I've actually never made before. I wish I had like a super tight recipe for you guys, like prepared, but I broke my toe the other day and I spent all day in bed yesterday, so I didn't have time to prepare like a full-on recipe for you guys. But you know what? That's life, right? You'll notice that like on this diet, you have to cook like all of your meals, and you don't always have time to like always go to the store and make sure you have every single ingredient you need, or you don't have time always to like completely reference a full recipe and measure everything out, because it really does take a long time. So that's why I wanted to show you guys today, like we're just gonna get into the kitchen and make it work, right? Because that's what we have to do the majority of the time. So let's get to it. Okay, so like I mentioned, we didn't go to the store. We had everything here just in the fridge, and I actually have some leftover chicken breast that I made and some bone broth that I made that we're going to use. So let's start prepping our ingredients. So we're going to be using an orange bell pepper today. There isn't technically any information for an orange bell pepper in the Monash app when it comes to like the low FODMAP measurements, but there is information for red bell pepper and green bell pepper. The green one does contain FODMAPs, the red one doesn't. I feel that the orange and the yellow ones are similar to the red ones, and then they don't contain FODMAPs. So we're gonna use orange today. Okay, we're also going to cut up some radishes today. If you've never had cooked radish, trust me, like this, it's gonna change your life. Cooked radishes are bomb. My little sister turned me on to them, and I'm so glad she did. And the other reason I love radish is because they are a good onion substitute, because they have that like kind of like similar bite that an onion has. And then if you are trying to substitute red onion in a recipe, radish is great because they have a similar color as well. So we're just gonna give these a rough chop, not too small because we are gonna cook them down along with our peppers. Okay, so I'm gonna do 4 radishes, and then I'm going to leave 1 for our, to dice up smaller for, to garnish the soup at the end. The other reason why I really like to use radishes in my cooking, particularly as an onion substitute, is because they are FODMAP free. Okay, so now I'm gonna take a whole corn cob. No, that's not what it's called. An ear of corn. And we're going to cut off the kernels. And I like to make sure that I start with a flat top so that it has like stability. And then I just like to cut it into a bowl so it kind of catches all the kernels. Make sure you're using a very sharp knife. You could also use canned or frozen corn. I just happen to have fresh corn, especially since it is summer. It is in season right now. See, that wasn't very hard. I know a lot of people can be intimidated when it comes to cutting the kernels off of corn. Okay, so next I have a part of a whole chicken that I've cooked here. These are the breasts and the wings. We're not gonna use the wings. They're just like still attached. But I am gonna use these breasts to shred for our soup. If you don't know how to make a whole chicken, that's fine. You can just buy a rotisserie chicken from the store, or you can use boneless, skinless chicken breasts that you have poached. And I will show you how to poach them later on when we go to the stove and cook everything up. You don't have to start with your chicken breasts already cooked. You'll see later. Just take off these wings. Okay, I'm also not going to use the skin. So I did smear some herb butter underneath the skin. That's why it looks like this. It is going to add extra flavor to our dish, but it's not necessary. Plain chicken breast will be just fine. I might end up eating these chicken wings, but if I don't, then I can always put them in the freezer and use them for bone broth when I make it. Same thing with this skin. There's a lot of great collagen in this skin. Okay, so now for the breasts, we are going to cut them off because we still do have the rib cage in here. So we do have the breastbone right here, so I'm just gonna make some vertical slices like this. And then cut horizontally like this into the breast. You could also just go in there with your fingers and pick it off. I just kind of like to do this because it's quicker. I do like to get in with my hands though too, just to make sure I don't leave any of that amazing chicken behind. So I don't know if you guys have ever cooked a whole chicken before. This is the second whole chicken that I've ever cooked, and it was amazing. I want to do it one more time in practice before I teach you guys, but it's such a great skill to have. Okay, I think we've got all of our chicken off of the bones there. I am gonna set these aside because, again, I love using the bones for bone broth, which is another great reason to buy a whole chicken and cook it. Okay, so now I'm just going to go through and shred this with my hands. We just want them to be like bite-sized pieces for our soup. Oh, if you guys want to use pre-cooked rotisserie chicken that you bought from the store, Sprouts does have unseasoned rotisserie chickens, which is very, very useful on this diet. But I will say that I have eaten the Costco chickens plenty of times. I just make sure not to eat the skin, and it seems to be fine for me. I don't know. Obviously it depends on like how sensitive you are, and obviously it's gonna be better like if you make your own chicken because then you know exactly what's going in it, right? All right, now that we've got our chicken shredded, let's head over to the stove and start cooking up our soup. All right, I've got a large Dutch oven here. I'm gonna preheat it over high heat. You could use any large soup pot or stock pot that you have. I just have this Dutch oven, and when you use Dutch ovens or cast irons, you wanna make sure you heat them up fully first. So we're just gonna let that heat up for a couple of minutes. All right, so now that that is hot, we're going to add some fat to our pan. Okay, like I said, I want to keep this recipe dairy-free today, so instead of butter, I am gonna be using a little bit of duck fat. I'm also gonna mix that with a little bit of olive oil because I am out of garlic oil at the moment, but if you have garlic oil, definitely use that. Okay, next we're going to add our bell pepper and our radish. Okay, so we're just gonna hit this with a little bit of salt and pepper. When you're cooking on the fly without a recipe, it's important to season with salt and pepper as you go. Adding the salt at this point is really going to help our vegetables cook down and draw out the moisture. Okay, so we're just going to saute these for about 5 minutes, and we are going to start adding our spices. God, look at that beautiful color on those radishes. You see, like, it starts to come alive. It looks a little bit purple. Okay, now that we've gotten our peppers and our radishes cooked down a bit, and there's some nice color on them, I'm actually going to add some of these cumin seeds for some extra flavor. I wasn't going to put them in the recipe, but I decided to put them in. You can totally leave them out if you don't have cumin seeds at home, it's fine. So I just added about half a teaspoon. Okay, now I want to add about a tablespoon of tomato paste to fry that up. Frying the tomato paste helps to caramelize the sugars that's in the tomato paste. Okay, now we're just going to add 1 can of diced tomatoes. We're going to turn down the heat a little bit. Start to blend that all together. Next, I'm going to add 4 cups of chicken stock. This is a bone broth slash chicken stock that I made earlier this week in the Instant Pot. I do have a video that will show you how to do that if you are interested. Otherwise, you can just add a combination of water and FLAVORFUL chicken soup base. I'm also going to add half a can of rinsed and drained black beans. This is 1 can, and I think this will be too many FODMAPs because we do have some tomato paste in here, we have corn, these beans, and then we have like some of our toppings like the cabbage and the avocado. So a whole can of beans would be too much, so we're gonna add half, which is gonna end up being like 3/4 of a cup. Okay, now I wanna add 2 more cups of chicken stock. So it's gonna be a total of 6 cups. Okay, we're gonna turn our heat back up to let that combine. And at this point, I want to start to taste it and add our seasoning. The chicken stock is super good. I love using homemade bone broth or chicken stock because it adds so much more flavor than just adding water and FLAVORFUL chicken soup base, but I know we don't all have time for that, so. Okay, so now I'm going to add some cumin, chili powder, and paprika. I will have the final measurements on the website. And I also wanted to mention that you could also substitute the paprika for smoked paprika if you want to give it a bit more of a smoky flavor. You could substitute cayenne, you could put ancho chili powder in there, even chipotle powder. It's really up to you. I really hope you guys take my recipes and make them your own. I do want to add a little bit of water to kind of stretch the chicken stock a little bit because it is very rich and flavorful. And we have a lot of spices in here as well. So just to make it go a little bit further, I want to add 2 cups of water. All right, I think I want to add a little bit more cumin. And then we're gonna bring it up to a simmer, put the lid on, and let all the flavors kind of come together. Okay, so we are going to bring this up to a strong simmer and then let that cook for about 15 minutes, okay? Just to let all the flavors come together, because everything in there is already cooked, but a lot of time with soups, time is the magic ingredient. Okay, so now our sauce is up to a simmer. We're gonna turn the heat down to low. That's why I like using the Dutch oven because it retains heat so well. So once I turn this down to low, it's still gonna be at a simmer. And then we're going to cover it and start our timer for 15 minutes, okay? So if you're not using pre-cooked rotisserie chicken, then this is the point at which you would want to add your raw chicken breasts into your soup. Add them whole and then just simmer them along with the rest of your ingredients for 15 to 20 minutes until they are cooked through. At that point, you want to remove them from the sauce, shred it up with a fork, and then add it back to your soup along with the corn. Be sure to taste your broth for salt before you add your chicken because you want to make sure that you're cooking your chicken in a properly salted broth because it is going to absorb that salt. And then after you take your chicken out, make sure you taste your broth again. All right, our soup has been cooking for about 15 minutes. It's been simmering. So now let's give it a taste and adjust for the seasoning. Very good. It does need a little bit of salt though. I'm gonna add half a teaspoon, but again, always salt to taste. Perfect. Okay, so now we're going to add our corn and our chicken. I didn't want to add them before because I didn't want our chicken to get overcooked. Same thing with our corn. Ugh. Okay, so there goes our 2 chicken breasts and our corn. Okay, so now let's just let our chicken and our corn, our chicken come up to temperature and let our corn get a little bit cooked through. Corn is very easy to cook. It cooks very quickly when you cut it off the cob. So we're just going to put our lid back on it and move it to the back burner and let it simmer on low for about 5-10 minutes. Ugh. Okay, so now while our soup is simmering, let's chop up some of our toppings. I have some cilantro here, some green onion, a little radish, and some cabbage and avocado. Now, the cabbage and avocado do contain FODMAPs, so those are the ones you're gonna have to be a little bit careful with if you are on the elimination phase of your low FODMAP diet and you're not quite sure how much of each you can have. I would suggest looking up the low FODMAP serving size on the Monash app or just Googling it. But general rule of thumb, just stick to like just a little bit and you'll be fine. I'm not gonna mince that up too small because I do like larger chunks of cilantro. Okay, so now for this radish, I am gonna mince it up pretty small. Okay, now for our cabbage, I have a 1/4 of a cabbage here that I have cut the, is it a stem? Is that what you would call it? The core, yes, I cut out the core. So now I'm just gonna thinly slice along here to give kind of like a shred. Okay, I feel like that's enough for just a garnish. Moment of truth. So close to perfect. Cut off that little spot. All right, guys, I forgot that I wanted to fry up some tortillas for the topping. So let's grab a couple of those and cut them into strips. I feel like these are gonna be too long. Cut this way as well. Okay. Okay, now let's go see if our soup is ready. Okay, so now while that's coming up to temperature, we are going to attempt to fry up these tortillas into tortilla strips. I've never done this before, so we'll see how it goes. I just have a nonstick skillet here. I'm going to put it over a medium-high flame and we're going to add some oil. Okay, that's about a tablespoon. We're gonna wait until that gets hot and like shimmering. You'll see. Okay, so you see how this oil it's starting to get little bubbles in it. See, there it goes. That means it's ready. It's very hot. So now we're going to add our tortilla strips. I feel like we should give them a little salt too. So let's do that. I also feel like it needs a little bit more oil, so let's throw a little bit more on there. This is actually working out pretty well. I feel like I want to let them get a little bit more golden brown, how that piece is right there. Okay, after about 5 to 10 minutes, these are done. We're gonna put them on a paper towel to drain. And now let's check our soup. Okay. It's back up to temperature. Let's just check to see if our corn is cooked all the way through. Perfect. Okay, and for our last touch, we are going to hit it with a little cilantro and green onion. If you wanted to make a creamy tortilla soup, at this is the point where you would add either a little bit of heavy cream, like 2 tablespoons, or coconut cream. But please keep in mind that that will make your soup a little bit higher FODMAP. So that's more for something if you are in the maintenance phase of your low FODMAP diet, like me. But I do want to keep this a brothy soup today. Okay, so we're just gonna put in a little pinch. I've already turned off the heat. Beautiful. Okay, let's go serve it up. Okay. Oh my God, that looks so good. I'm gonna finish it off with a little bit of these tortilla strips. A little bit of cabbage. Okay, lastly, add a little bit of avocado. Okay, I'm so excited to dig in. Let's see how it came out. Oh my God, that is perfect. That's exactly what I wanted today. I wanted a delicious, brothy soup that feels like it's like healing your soul. You know what I mean? I'm so excited for soup season. I love the little crunch from the cabbage. And let's see, let's try one of these tortilla strips. Mmm. Oh my God, so good. And that was so easy. I'm never gonna buy store-bought tortilla strips ever again. Like, that was so easy. Oh, the chicken is so nice and juicy. Got a little bit of the corn in there, like a little sweetness. Oh my God, seriously, so good. All right, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for tuning into this recipe, even though I wasn't sure what I was doing going in, but I'm really glad that we ended up filming this video and writing this recipe because it came out super good, and I'm excited for you guys to try it. So let me know how you like it in the comments, and thank you so much for watching, for subscribing, for liking this video, and I will see you guys next time.